Go.
Engine room, Russia special.
Слушайте, если что-нибудь я должен говорить по-русски, я вот это сделаю. Потому что ты ничего не знаешь.
So, did you lick a stony bird and eat it Chinese?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Engine Room Show. It's the Russia special, where Дэйв Hamfriz gets to tell us about his Russian adventure. If you haven't heard anything about this, give us the background.
Okay.
Engine room, Russia special.
Enough of that. No.
Alright, great.
The background is Mazda, very good Japanese car company.
Oh, they're not Russian?
No.
Oh, well, now I'm less interested. I thought it was a new Russian car.
No.
Yeah, because it goes on all the other Russian cars.
The
in the
new
market.
Mazda
Hey.
3.
Is it made of paper mache?
No.
Will it ever feature on the front cover of a U2 album?
Just move on quickly.
Jesus Christ.
Mazda.
Mazda.
Yeah,
The
Mazda.
new Mazda 3
Yeah.
is being released at the Frankurt Motor Show.
Oh.
In order to help, Mazda have asked, or did ask me, to be
The
one
engine
of
room.
a select number. Well, just me actually.
It was 50to70.com.
I did ask.
Some rival nonsense.
Yes. So they wanted to get the car from the plant in Hiroshima where they built it to the Frankfurt Motor Show.
It's
And they
built
thought,
in Hiroshima.
why would you stop interrupting?
Yeah,
this?
seriously, let him get on with it.
Like really?
Only
Really?
You've got a valid
It's a
question.
question.
Really?
No, you must.
I say, from what I know of Hiroshima, it's non-livable in.
No.
Oh, what are you talking about? Wasn't there like a big incident in Hiroshima?
There was a nuclear bomb
Yeah, so nothing
in
can
1945.
So, like, given another 90 years or so, you might be able to grow a plant.
No, that's not how nuclear bombs work.
Now, in future, you must submit all of your questions before he talks in writing to the engine room. Thank you.
There you go. So, Mazda
Jesus.
wanted me
Glad
to
I turned up today.
take the car from Hiroshima to the Frankfurt Motor Show. So I did one stage of driving.
Okay, so,
So
give
is it-
everybody the duration of what one stage of
Okay.
driving in Russia is.
So the entire trip is a 15,000 kilometer journey.
Ouch.
So I was going to do 1 week of it. So in 3 days driving, I did 2,500 kilometers. So we did, so it's about 2,500 kilometers across what would only be described as, at best, all right roads.
Yeah.
So
Barren land type of road.
we went from, we went literally right up until gravel, like full on walking pace at most, up to kind of speeds where we could go clip along a little bit, but there was always going to be the risk of extreme potholes,
Or a cow.
or a cow,
And the
or
gays.
a train,
Not in Russia.
or
What?
Doesn't exist. Have you heard anything Vladimir Putin's had to say in the last 2
police.
months?
Gay.
Guy.
guy.
Oh.
Well, we didn't see any of them on our travels. We were literally in
Going too
the
fast.
middle of nowhere. So we started off in a place called, well, I suppose it started off in Dublin, and that we flew from Dublin to Frankfurt to Moscow to a place called Blagoveshchensk, which
Alright.
is a
Blagoveshchensk.
9.5 hour flight from Moscow on a rather dodgy. Russian
And here's
jet.
what people like. It is so hard to comprehend this, right? Russia is the biggest landmass in the world. Like it's bigger than Australia. It's bigger than the United States. It's bigger than Africa in terms of its width.
Yeah.
You were going from Finland to Japan.
Yeah.
Like
In one country.
it's insane. And you think about this, like there's no difference in who the government is from one
Yeah.
end to the other. The television, the currency, the bus service, like it's all the same in this country that stretches halfway around the world. It's phenomenally large and larger than you can comprehend. You've just done a week of driving.
Yeah.
Are you any closer to understanding how big this country is?
Yes.
See? But
It's-
it takes that.
Enormous. Like you go around roads, and you come around a bend, and the road goes to the horizon, and there's nothing either side of it. Completely just desolate. And the road goes to the road, and you just keep on driving. You get to the horizon, and then there's a crest. And you go over the crest, and the road goes off the horizon again.
Oh my god.
I think we drove for like at one point, I think it was about 2 hours without seeing
A thing.
anything resembling civilization. Anything. Like, not even telegraph poles. Like, nothing. Forget about lighting at night.
Tell everyone about the silence.
Yeah, when you stop, we had to at numerous points just to have a rest. So we were travelling in convoy 14. When you stop and you get out of your car,
14 or 40?
14. When you stop, you get out and you have a rest. All you hear is this. That's it. Silence. There's not even wildlife. You don't hear the wildlife because the countryside is so vast. The wildlife, like, well, there's no way I'm gonna go up near that road because, like, that's the only thing that's probably gonna kill me. So.
And like in America, there's daredevils on those
yeah.
motorways coming out of the desert.
But America is only a fraction of the size.
Yeah.
Again, this is the point I'm trying to make, is that
like you literally, like, you nearly don't pass a petrol station because you don't know how far the next one's gonna be.
and they're not petrol stations.
And they're not,
on the road you drove.
They're not even, like, at one point we stopped in what people will call a petrol station, but it was essentially petrol drums and a man
With a pump.
And that was it.
And did your convoy carry a truck with petrol on it just in case?
We had jerry cans in every car,
Yeah.
but we did reach a point where we were starting to run quite low on juice, and we got to an actual, what would resemble a petrol station, and the guy was like, "No, we've no petrol here."
You didn't like the look of you.
And it was like, "Really? No, we've no petrol here." So it was like, at that point, it was like there was calculations being done as to, do we actually have enough to put into every car? And some cars had slightly less than other cars. It was like, or we'll give them a bit more. It was just crazy.
All windows up, aircon off, radios off.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so you drove.
so
But you must have driven through different types of terrain. It wasn't because you weren't on the savannah,
well, that's the
flatland
thing.
the whole
No,
time.
that's the thing, and that's the one really striking thing. And what's hard to forget is that we only drove, like, relatively speaking, a tiny proportion of Russia. Like, we drove, like, not even an inch on a map.
No.
It was 2,500 k's. So, but it started off. So from Blagoveshchensk is basically, it's on the Amur River, and we looked across 800 meters away was China.
Oh, I saw that picture that you put up.
Yeah,
on
so
Twitter.
you're looking over China, so it gives you an idea of where we started. So you head off and into the countryside. We headed. The first stop was a place called Skodovodino, which was all we saw the entire day was like pine forests either side of the road, but it was like all day long. That's all there was.
There's bears in them pine forests.
And there was nothing to break it the whole way, just all along this road.
For like what, 900 kilometers?
The first day was an easy day. We only had 700 kilometers in the first day.
That's easy.
Eased into it nicely, and we got there. But as you go through parts of the countryside, you get through bits. So that bit of it, from my experience of driving in different countries around the world, would be like Finland, in that
Very
it was similar sort of looking terrain and all that. And then you go through other bits, and it's like driving through Canada or the Rockies, where there's big, huge mountains, and it looks really picturesque. And then you go through other bits when we headed down, kind of skirt along the Mongolian border, and it's like Mongolia. It's just like flatlands, and it's just kind of like grass, really, a type of kind of longish grass, but like as far as you can see, and no kind of real topography to note. It's just flat. And the
If I
road
could just
goes to
interrupt for
there.
a second and tell you one of my experiences in Russia when I lived there was I was at a party.
This is
very
the story you told us earlier on,
No.
is it?
very early on in my stay in Russia, so a few months into it, I'd say, and we had been invited by a Swedish person to go to their birthday party. Myself and a couple of other Irish people, so we headed along. And in my ignorance at the time, I went, "Oh look, there's a Chinaman, an Eskimo, what's definitely a Russian lad, and I don't know where he's from, but he kind of looks a bit Asian, like Southeast Asian, kind of Filipino, I don't know." Had a chat to them. Every single one of them spoke with exactly the same accent.
Yeah.
Every single one of them was from the same country. They're all from Russia, and they all speak exactly the same way. There's no difference in their accent between, like, Eskimo guy was from Siberia, northern
Yeah.
Siberia, where it snows all year round. He never sees anything other than snow.
Bet you he's hard.
Yes, he was very hard
Yeah.
actually. The Chinese-looking fella was from around the area you flew into. He was from that kind of maybe a little bit further east even, and lived very close to the Chinese border. Spoke fluent Chinese and fluent Russian. The Asian-looking fella was from closer to Mongolia, a bit further central. Actually, closer. I think.
Any of these people have names. This is, the
Well,
Asian
it was
looking
a
guy.
long time ago. And then you had your guy, well, I grew up in St. Petersburg, and he's just like the sunken-eyed Eastern European look that you kind of completely expect a traditional Russian guy. And it took me so long to get my head around that. Was like, these are 4 different, because if it was in Europe,
I was like, in Ireland.
well, yeah, but I'm even thinking physically, like if you can't, because Western Europe would fit into a quarter of Russia's landmass, but if you got somebody from like northern Norway, who lives in 6 months of darkness every year, someone from the tip of Sicily or into Greece or something like that, an Irishman, and then someone from like those blonde-haired, blonde eyelashed German lads, put them all together, like your head goes, well, these are from 4 really different places in the world, and then they're not. They're all like in Russia. They're all from the same country.
Like, you can do that comparison with Ireland as well, because like you've got your dubs who look different to just say somebody over in the west of Ireland, because
Yes, we're cultured and we live inside a proper city, like not like boggers who live outside of Dublin.
Yeah.
Where do you live again? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
but like different type of atmosphere as well, because like over the west you'd have a lot more sunshine, a bit more sallow skin.
But isn't it weird though?
Different
How
accents. But you go 10 minutes up the road and the accents are different.
Sure. And non-Russian. It's like
Is there different Russian dialects?
No.
So it's just all one, because like in Spain you've got Catalan and then you've got Spanish. And then
they would argue they're different countries, even some.
True.
But like, no, I mean, the amazing thing about the Russian language is that the reason it's so homogenized is because it came out of, it existed forever, but the language that's spoken now for 80 years was hammered into them by the Soviet regime. So a dialect wasn't allowed, because you could be saying something that the local KGB officer could understand. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So look, it's the same. If you speak to a Latvian or a Lithuanian or Estonian of a certain age, they all speak Russian as their first language, even though they also have Latvian, Lithuanian or Estonian. But they wouldn't speak it because they grew up in a country where it wasn't allowed. Now, if you speak to a young person, of course they speak their own language as their first language.
And does it differ much?
No. Here's the interesting thing, right?
By the way, next week on National
Surely it should be Humphreys telling this
I
story.
know.
Isn't it?
He's like, I've got a car to tell you about.
But very quickly,
Come all the way across Russia.
Cooper and Dave are having a geography lesson.
The O sound in Russian is very important, right? The way it works, because the word for milk, you'll know, Irish dance act.
Milk!
Irish
Like
dance
that?
act.
What?
What do you call them? Maloko?
Yeah, Maloko.
Maloko, right? That's the dancey acty thing. In Russian, that's the word for milk, and you pronounce it. It's M-O-L-O-K-O, but you say ma, so you pronounce your O like an ah, right? Ma, la, ko, and only the ko at the end is O. The other ones are ah, and that happens in whenever word has loads of O's in it. It's like O.
I think that's the same in Hawaii as well. I think it's the same in Hawaii.
Really?
But no.
But
Kono. Yeah, it is.
This
It
is
is
the
Kono.
this is the only difference that I found in the entire country, is if you're from Moscow, you say Moloko, and if you're from anywhere else in the whole country, you say Moloko. And if you're from Moscow, you say Moloko. That's it.
It's just a Moscow thing.
Yeah.
It's an inner city accent.
That's what.
But that's literally one word I could think of. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Isn't it gas, or are they having just like different accents?
Weird. Well, they all sound the same to me. I couldn't really quite tell them apart.
Were you petrified?
There was sometimes that was a little bit sketch.
Give us a sketch story.
Yeah.
Like over there, the drivers, they kind of have this policy, right? And I know everyone by now has seen the Russian dash cam things and all that kind of stuff. Like they kind of have this policy where everyone kind of pretty much drives to where they need to go. But if you're in a big rush, you can kind of do whatever you want, and they kind of don't really mind. And like at one point, we were kind of clipping along in traffic, making progress, I suppose you could say, and all of a sudden there was like this ladder went like belting up the inside, well, almost with two wheels on the footpath, and that was just, and I was just like, well, yeah, he's obviously just in a rush, and nobody kind of gets in order. We were coming up to this fork in the road. So we obviously they drive on the right over there. So we'd be coming up, and there was traffic coming down on the right as well. And it was like just this gravel kind of like in between where the two roads would meet. And it was like, so we had to give way to the right. So we were all coming up to this yield sign, and then all of a sudden, like, these guys just went, "Oh, sod this," and just drove straight over the gravel onto the road that had the right of way and just overtook us all. It was just like, oh, right, okay, that's how it works here, is it?
No rules.
No rules, and like no traffic lights. Apart from in the cities,
yeah.
There's like we had one day where I think we went.
Would you not find it odd though, in the middle of a pine forest of 900 kilometres of one road, that there'd be a traffic light in the middle of
Well,
it?
I tell you the one weird
Bears
thing you do
crossing.
see out in the middle of nowhere, right? They all go. They're big into foraging, so they forage for like food, and they forage for like all kinds of like potatoes and mushrooms and all this kind of stuff.
We call that farming over here.
Yeah, well, they call it foraging, right? And what they do though is that they go off and they do it, and you'd be driving along. Now, bearing in mind this is like just forestry and a straight road, and you would probably go from maybe 40-50 kilometers from the town that you may have last passed through. And I say town, it's a term I use very loosely, the last cluster of buildings. And you'd be driving off, and way up in the distance you'll just see some man or woman standing at the side of the road. And as you approach them, they're standing there, and they've got a bucket in front of them, and the bucket is full of whatever they've foraged.
Oh, okay.
And they are like essentially, and they sell. They're there sell.
So it's like Wexford strawberries.
It's like Wexford strawberries, except people who sell Wexford strawberries generally sitting there, and they have cars going by all the time. People. Like, this is in the middle of nowhere.
Do they do truffles?
But the thing is,
they're very hard to come
it's
by.
not like they've been like they're there on their own. They don't have their car parked beside them.
They don't have a fancy stand.
They don't have a stand. They're standing there in the middle of nowhere in Siberia with a bucket of mushrooms, in the hope that first of all somebody's going to drive by, second of all that they're going to go, do you know what? Might get some mushrooms actually. Funny, and isn't it fortuitous that you happen to be standing here in the middle of nowhere
and have exact change?
And then we kind of think, oh, where do they live? Because it's not like their car is parked beside them and they've driven to this place. And you will see this. You'll see people walking along the side of the road, and it's kind of like, hang on, we've been driving for an hour and we haven't seen anything, and we've been driving at speed for an hour. Where are these people coming from, and where are they going from? It is very, very strange.
Maybe they live just off the road in forest.
They must do, but it's like, no.
Just not even stop and ask them.
No, you don't. Our security were like, you don't stop, don't talk to anyone unless we kind of vet them. Don't
Really?
take anything off anybody. Don't take any drinks off anybody, because it's a Russian tradition apparently that you have to. If you invite somebody into your house, you have to feed them, or you have to extend that
by the
hospitality.
way, super friendly people.
And they are. Anyone we met,
outwardly really cold, outwardly really quiet and
super
reserved, really reserved.
Yeah.
Get them in their house on their own. Yeah. Oh my god, maniacs, and they'll just spend the whole time kissing you and giving you food.
Yeah, when we
off to Russia we go.
Arrived in a town in a city called Cheetah, and we checked into we had what was actually could be deemed a hotel that night, and so we kind of we got chatting to the security guys and said, look, there was an Irish bar, and I normally never I hate Irish bars abroad because I'm Irish, but they basically said like this is actually like apparently the best place to go in town, so we kind of thought, well look, let's go there.
Whereabouts was that?
It's in Cheetah.
Cooper?
Yeah?
Are you trying to locate this in your...
No, because...
I think I was there once on a school tour.
I was offered to DJ in an Irish bar / disco bar in Russia in October for the Halloween bank holiday weekend for 2 nights.
Well,
and I turned it down, but because like I just didn't want to go to Russia.
Well, I think the chance of it being that particular one are quite
no, but
high.
apparently you fly into Russia and then you're picked up by a van and you drive for 15 hours. So it could be that place.
It could. In the world of biggest coincidences, it could be that place. Yeah.
Go.
Anyway, so
I'm
As
not
like-
going.
yeah, so we went there, and like that in terms of friendliness, we walked into the place, and it was like that scene in the westerns when the everyone like was like, what the hell is going on? There's Westerners here, and there's loads of them,
And they're all wearing
and
blue.
they're all wearing blue jackets, and
Nylon.
It was just like it was. I'm not joking. It was like the equivalent of One Direction going into a bar on Grafton Street. It was just like
All
of a sudden there are people like we walked in and there was like 10 people in the whole bar. Within an hour the place was packed because they're all like, here you go, they're on the phone to their friends. Look, there's like
There's real people here.
there's people from the outside world are here, and they've brought money and stuff. And like we were literally like treated
stars.
like we were like rock stars. It was the most bizarre experience ever. They were like people continually coming over like with to get their picture taken with us, and in fairness, a lot of them were students, and they're all kind of 20 to 24, and some of them
What
had
are they studying? Like foraging
studying,
and stuff?
they're studying law. They're studying. I spoke to this.
One of the best educated nations in the world.
Yeah,
Have you know?
law,
I don't doubt it.
medicine. We spoke to one guy who's a student. He had been locked up for 2 days for attending a student protest against the government. But they all had, well, not all of them, but the ones who did spoke English had like really.
I hope they did spoke English better than
I
me.
know. Did you learn them good?
they really, really good English, and they were like, I think for them, it was probably like one of the rare occasions they got to actually speak English.
They probably put it
not
down as
in a
part of their
classroom
course.
sense, Yeah, it was incredible, and they were like,
Field trip.
they were like taking our pictures, and they wanted our jackets, and they were like all sorts of different stuff, and it was just, you could tell it was such a novelty for them to have outsiders come in. We were asking them, I said, like, why is this
Such a big deal.
why is this happening? I said, like, we never get like one kind of tourist
Foreigner,
or one foreigner, because the places we were going weren't like tourist locations, or weren't
There
sort
was
of
no
like,
Holiday Inn on
Yeah.
the corner.
and all of a sudden,
Other
like,
cheap hotels
not
are
even
available.
one to turn up, but like for a
Bunch of
whole
hotels.
load of us to turn up in a convoy of brand new cars with TV crews and all this kind of stuff was just, for them, was like unbelievable. So
Is there going to be the engineroomshow.com blog post about this trip to
oh,
Russia?
this is, you will be able to read everything about this trip.
Can't wait.
It's-
Oh,
and-
read it after listening to it. It's,
Oh, well, look, I'll put up loads of pictures.
Yeah, you
so
just look at
you
the
like
pictures.
I know you like looking at pictures,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
make it easy for
that's
you.
why I don't buy the Sun anymore.
There you go. Put up loads of pictures. But yeah,
But you're back at your home site. Now, before we do
Yeah.
anything, what's the Mazda 3 like?
the Mazda 3.
Oh yeah, is that what you were driving?
I was actually there to do it. I wasn't really on holiday. We were actually driving it there. It is actually an incredibly good car.
Were they all hatchbacks or the hatchbacks and saloons?
all the
All
hatchbacks.
hatchbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, because they
Um,
released them
We
first.
drove the Mazda 3s for the they have them as the Mondello
yes.
training cars.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
There's obviously the new one.
Yeah, this is a new one. It is a very, very good car, and I'm not saying that on the basis of it just brought me off on this trip. It was a really good. Apart from an amazing experience, we really got to know the cars. So the cars we had were actually the very first 8 cars off the production line.
Cool.
So, and they're going to be dispatched all over the world to go into exhibitions and on display and all that. But inside, the interior design is fantastic.
It's always been good in the Mazda in France.
Yeah, it's really, really good now though. It's like pushing towards BM Audi quality.
Oh,
like
wow.
really nice, but not too flash. We all had the 2-litre petrol engine, which if I'm fair, is actually pretty gutless. But the engine to get over here will be the 2.2 diesel, which is an incredible engine, and
It's okay,
would
Dave,
be.
it's all
I
right.
know.
Don't
With
ever
that-
say Dave should buy anything other than an Audi bi-turbo.
I know, but what I will say, if you ask me to sum it up on one question, I think it's got serious potential to be a Volkswagen Golf beater.
Wow.
So,
High praise.
And what type of
Very high
monies would it be
praise.
coming in on?
Cheaper.
hasn't been totally confirmed yet, so I will have prices sooner.
And
In around 20, I'm going to throw it at you.
good looks.
Oh yeah, it's
Really
a
good
handsome car. It
Really?
is a
Yeah.
very
No, it is
handsome
genuine.
car.
It's a
I've
very
seen
good looking.
pictures.
It's the whole front of it's quite like the Mazda
Six.
6.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, it's quite nice. Now.
They've kind of upped the game, Maz, and the look of
Big
their
time.
cars. I think they went through a bit of a
They did have a
fuddy-duddy
rough
period,
patch.
didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But now,
Yeah, but-
Which I think Honda are going through. I think Honda are going through a fuddy-duddy period.
yeah,
Now-
Yeah,
dullness.
the
Dullness.
S2000 was probably the last really.
Yeah, but
I mean-
the Civics were, you know,
Well, no,
notoriously...
the last, not the current Civic. The last.
Oh, the last, yes.
Civic was a really
When
good
it came
looking
out
car,
first,
yeah.
it was, yeah. Back
But
in
then they
07,
just kind of
08.
went,
Yeah.
Yeah,
essentially,
pretty much.
you know.
So there you go. So yeah, you'll be able to read about it on the blog on theengineroomshow.com.
All right.
When will we
brilliant.
see the... Because, like, you're obviously be filmed for the whole thing.
Yes, there will be. I'll post up all the links. There's going to be a documentary about the whole trip. You'll get to see me changing a wheel that I destroyed in a very large pothole. So yeah, there'll be loads of stuff online. So
It's not going to be on TV now.
it
no,
is,
we wouldn't
but
really,
not.
well, no,
it
not,
is,
not,
but not here. It's going to be shown in Germany on TV there.
Yeah, mostly like.
Here we got
Germany.
internet. We can watch it.
Yeah, we'll get a copy of it.
TheEngineRoomShow.com is the website to go to read all of that stuff if and when it goes up. We also get us on Twitter at Engine Room Show, Facebook.com/Engine Room Show, Joe.ie. We have a YouTube channel, and we're on the Engine Room Show something Podbean, I think.
Just Google anything to do with the Engine Room
You
Show.
will never
we're there.
find it. And if you're hearing us now, you've found it. Congratulations.
And on that happy note, bye.
What's goodbye in Russian?
Do svidaniya.
Goodbye is easier to say.
Just say paka.
Spasibo.
But do not say that.
But yeah,
Spasibo.
we should check his Russian.
Do svidaniya.
Yeah,
What?
two what?
No, what is it? Do svidaniya.
Do svidaniya.